Hello everyone, my name is Mariam Sara and I work for the Pioneers for Hope team. Today we'll be talking about how you can live a zero waste lifestyle. We'll be going through a few simple initiatives that you can take to respect and protect the environment around you. Now let's get started. Before we get into sustainability, let's talk a bit about food waste and how you can ensure you avoid food waste as much as possible. This is in relation to the Hunger and Homelessness Week awareness that happens in the third week of November. Then we will talk about the three important actions that you can take to reduce your carbon footprint. That is, reduce, reuse, and recycle. We should be thankful for all the amazing meals we had. It is important to be self aware and appreciate the food quantity we have access to, as there are a lot of others who go through the hardships of food insecurity. Now, is throwing away food really a problem? So let's find out. 40% of the entire US food supply is actually discarded, and out of this, 15% could help feed 25 million of the entire US population in a year. Now, who's making this food waste? Now, as we look on the left, the highest percentage is 43% that goes towards homes. That means it comes down to us individuals to make sure to avoid throwing away food and buy only how much we can actually consume. To encourage us to make this change in our life, let's talk about food insecurity. It refers to a lack of available financial resources for food at a household level. Now, we know that 44% of UC undergrad students suffered from food insecurity. That's a super high percentage, and we should be mindful about the eating habits of students and peers we see around us and take steps to make sure to help them as much as we can. So now here's what we can do to avoid being part of the food waste problem. The first thing is don't misinterpret expiration labels. So there are three things that you'll notice on labels when you're buying food. Best if used by, and expiration date. So when it says expiration date, that means that's the date it's going to expire on. You cannot use this product from that day onwards. But when it says best if used by and used by, it does not really say that you should stop using this product and throw it away. You can actually still use it, but it may dry out or not taste as good. And depending on the product, you can use it accordingly. Another thing you can do is be conscious when eating out. Don't be fooled by those marketing schemes and buy only what you can actually take and what you can actually eat. Make sure to take the leftovers since they are just going to be thrown away by the restaurants that you go to. Alright, so here are a few other things we can do. According to Feed Insecurity, 1 in 6 people could go hungry as this COVID pandemic persists. Do you think you or anyone close to you may be going through food insecurity? Here is what we can recommend. You can book an appointment with the Hope team or send us an email for emergency situations. This is when if you are a Cal State student. If not, you can also talk to your local food bank or call 22211 that can help out. You can also apply for call CalFresh, which is a process but will help you in the long run. Alright, moving on. Now, time to talk about sustainability and the 3 R's that are reduce, reuse, and recycle. Now, why do we care to reduce, reuse, and recycle? It's so much work and it can be pretty time consuming. So, here's why. In a year, approximately 1.5 million tons of plastic waste flows into to the ocean. That is nearly the weight of 60 statues of liberty. And this plastic in the ocean affects 530 different species. And eventually it ends up affecting the entire food chain, coming back to us humans who tend to eat seafood. Another reason we need to start reducing and reusing is that we still produce 300 million tons of plastic in a given year. That is pretty much equivalent to 45 million cars emitting carbon dioxide in the year. And guess what? Recycling is not really an option. In fact, 50% of the things that you throw away in the recycle bin does not really even get recycled. So make recycling the last R and not the only R. First, you need to think about reducing and reusing. Now let's talk about how you can reduce. The first thing you can do is shop in bulk. Make sure you make as few trips to the grocery store as possible and buy items in bulk, avoiding 20 things wrapped up in plastic into just one bulk item, which is much more sustainable. Another thing you can do is think before you pick. Firstly, think about whether you really need this item. Don't be fooled by the offers and discounts, and think about the environmental impact when choosing the right product. Now let's move on to reusing. It is important to avoid using single-use plastic as much as possible. So whenever you find yourself with unwanted items to throw away, get creative and think about how you can reuse this into something interesting, or maybe even look up resources online or other sources that might use these items to their benefit rather than throwing them away. Here are some product replacements that can change your life. So the first thing you can do is avoid using plastic razors and switch to sustainable razors that use aluminium blades. Aluminium blades are much more easy to recycle than plastic. So this is a great replacement that you can do to avoid wasting single-use plastic. Another thing you can do is switch to bamboo cutlery and bamboo toothbrushes. Using single-use plastic cutlery might not be the best option, and you can always carry around bamboo cutlery in your bag wherever you go to avoid picking the plastic options available. Another thing you can do is switch to reusable bags when going to the grocery store rather than taking the single-use bags that are available. Here are a few other options. Instead of using Ziploc bags, you can switch to reusable bags that last about 2 to 3 years. Another thing is avoiding plastic bottles as much as possible and sticking to reusable bottles that you can carry around everywhere. Alright, now let's move on to recycling. Recycling is only an emergency option when you have no access to reduce or reusing the item. When thinking about recycling an item, you need to rethink whether you could reuse this or donate this to someone else before recycling it. Once you're sure you want to recycle, make sure to use the recycling bins in the right way. Now let's watch a video of Harry and Faith guiding you on how to use the bins effectively.
Hey everyone, Faith here from the H.O.P.E team. So, you all must have seen these bins around campus. I'm here to show you how to use these bins the right way. Compost. This means anything edible to humans and animals. This includes banana peels, leaves, scrap vegetable pieces, and bones. Recycle. This is where all your recyclables go. So this includes paper, cardboard boxes, soda cans, and hard plastics, but no food material at all. Make sure you scrape out all of your plastic plates before throwing them in here. Landfill. This is where you throw away anything that is not recyclable. This includes candy wrappers, chip bags, and any single-use plastic items. That includes straws, cups, and plastic bags. And unfortunately, your COVID-19 masks and gloves also go in the landfill. Before throwing something away, make sure to check if it's 100% compostable. And try to avoid using those blue COVID-19 masks. But if you do find yourself using them, make sure to clip the strings off before throwing them away. Or this will happen. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Be sure to join our Hunger, Homeless, and Awareness Week events on this link.
We got you, we got you. That was a great video by Faith, and this advice will really help if you find yourself around a campus a lot. Now, finally, you can start your zero waste journey with a bit more encouragement and one step at a time. So the first thing you can do is self-awareness. Before you pick items, think about the impact it's going to have on the world. What would happen if just like you, 100 other people also bought the same product and threw it away? Secondly, you need to research your replacements. So watch review videos, find optimal cost options, and test and use different items that you can actually reuse instead of buying plastic items. DIY time. Don't throw it away. Think about how you can reuse it. Think about creating your own items rather than buying plastic items. You can also start composting. Don't throw away seeds, peels, and edible food items with other plastic. Instead, you can actually think about composting it in your own backyard. Alright, thank you for watching and thank you for being part of